Before we begin, my friends, our stories are not just about entertainment and excitement. We always try to include a lesson and a meaningful message in them. In today's story, Beerus will believe that he is destroying Goten's future when he casts him aside and looks down on him. But sometimes the hardest moments in our lives become the very reason we discover our true strength. What Beerus sees as the end of Goten's journey will actually become the spark that ignites the greatest transformation of his life. If you are excited, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like to support us. And now let us begin the story. After years since the Tournament of Power on Beerus's planet, it was Goku who brought Goten there, believing that his youngest son could go even further than he himself had. From that day, Goten began to feel a strange thirst burning inside him, an overwhelming desire to reach the state of Ultra Instinct that he had only heard about in stories. Goten stood in the vast training arena while Whis twirled his staff lightly. "When your father asked me to train you, it was not because of your current strength, but because you are a hybrid," Whis said. "Hybrids always evolve faster than pure-blooded Saiyans, and that might grant you a chance to touch instinct." Without hesitation, Goten unleashed his power. His body ignited in a fiery red Super Saiyan God form. Heat surged through him, as though his body were burning alive. Whis raised an eyebrow slightly and remarked calmly, "So you have reached the royal power, but you do not yet understand what this means." He stepped closer and spoke in a low, secretive tone. "This power is not just a transformation. It is a gate. Whoever touches it begins to glimpse the secrets of the gods themselves." Goten clenched his fists with excitement. "Then that is what I want. I want to reach instinct." Whis chuckled softly, tapping his staff. "Do not be impatient. The road ahead is far longer than you imagine." Goten raised his energy again. His red aura blazed brighter, until it burst into blue, Super Saiyan blue. The ground trembled beneath him. The space around him distorted, but Whis stood unmoved as if nothing was remarkable. He said simply, "Good. But remember, red or blue, these are only beginnings." And so Whis declared the start of true training, his movements blurred like flashes of light, attacking Goten mercilessly, forcing him past his limits. Sweat poured down Goten's face. His body screamed in pain, yet he rose each time stronger than before. Nearby Beerus slept soundly, completely unaware. Then suddenly Whis leaned close to Goten's ear and whispered seriously for the first time, "Remember this. Well, Beerus must not know what you have reached. You have touched a power. You should never let him see the power of the gods." Goten's eyes widened in shock, his thirst for hidden knowledge only growing. What began now would not just be training, it would be a test that would shake everything he knew about himself. The battle continued. Whis danced around him lightly, deliberately holding back to give Goten chances to push himself. Goten fought with all his heart, with kicks, strikes, and gasps of exhaustion, but never yielding. With each blow he learned, adapted, and evolved. Then suddenly gathering all his energy into his hands, Goten roared. A violent blue blast erupted with unexpected force. In an instant, Whis vanished, smiling, as he let the attack go astray. But the target of the beam was far worse than Goten imagined. It tore toward the massive window leading into the chamber where Beerus slept. Goten's heart stopped as the explosion shook the place. Too late he realized what he had done. Beerus's eyes opened slowly. He rose, his aura blazing purple with fury. His deep voice thundered, "Who dares disturb my sleep?" He appeared before Goten, who now stood transformed in a new form Beerus had never seen. The god of destruction raised an eyebrow in surprise. "What is this transformation? Whis? Did you hide something from me?" Whis stepped forward calmly, trying to ease the tension. "It is merely a result of training." Goten touched the essence of the god's power, something I did not expect so soon. But Beerus's face darkened, his voice sharp with anger. "The god's power, and you kept it from me. Do you mean to threaten my place, Whis?" In a flash, Beerus struck. His blow sent Goten crashing into the ground, his form collapsing, his breath ragged, and eyes brimming with pain. Beerus looked down with disdain. "Pathetic training ends here. There is no place for children on my planet, and Goku will pay the price for bringing you." Whis tried to defend him. "My Lord Beerus, please. He has only just begun, if you would grant him." "Silence. Whis," Beerus roared. "You will never bring him here again. That is my order." Tears blurred Goten's vision as he lay broken on the ground. His dreams shattered before his eyes. Ultra instinct. The very thing he longed for was now sealed away from him by a power he could not defy. With no choice, Whis returned, Goten to Earth. The boy was silent with his head lowered. Goku and Vegeta were training fiercely when Whis arrived. Trunks sat nearby, watching with eyes wide in awe. Goku stopped when he saw Whis and his son. Surprise washed over him. "Whis, what are you doing here, and where has Goten been?" Whis explained coldly, "Lord Beerus forbids any training for him on his planet. He even threatened punishment for you, Goku, for bringing him." Goku froze while Vegeta smirked mockingly. As expected, the boy tried to play in the big leagues and got himself thrown out. Vegeta said. Trunks raised his chin proudly and sneered. "I have already surpassed what Goten could do, and I did not even anger Lord Beerus." Their words cut deep into Goten's heart. He bit his lip, struggling to hold back tears. But Goku rested a warm hand on his son's head, smiling gently. "I do not listen to them. You will reach your goal. Goten, I believe in you." Despite his sorrow, Goten smiled faintly. Vegeta scoffed, as always, filling your son's head with empty promises. But Goku ignored him. He walked away with Goten, leaving Vegeta and Trunks behind. In Goten's heart, pain mixed with hope for a dream that had not yet died, even if it seemed far away. Back on Beerus's planet, Whis tried to reason with his master. Why not allow mortals of your universe to grow? Goten, for example, could surpass even what we imagined. Beerus smirked darkly. "If I let them evolve, they will threaten my position." Goku already has favor with Zeno. He or his son could be chosen for a high seat, and I would be cast aside. He will not risk it. Whis fell silent, knowing Beerus's mind could not be changed. Meanwhile, on Earth, under the bright morning sun, Goku and Goten began their secret training far from all eyes. The first mission was to master the red form and push it to its limit. During the harsh sessions, Goku revealed secrets Goten had never heard: the truth of instinct, the limits of energy, and the importance of control before raw power. Each mistake brought punishment and pain on both body and spirit, but always with Goku's stern reminder, "Endure, this is only the beginning." From afar, Trunks watched, silently torn between awe and jealousy. He saw Goten endure fight, bleed, and rise again step by step, learning the path to greatness. By evening, Goten collapsed on the ground, with his body drained and nearly broken. Goku knelt beside him, placed a senzu bean in his hand, and embraced him warmly. "Tomorrow we continue. Do not give up, Goten. This path is long, but it will take you further than you could ever imagine." The next morning, Vegeta received a letter from his son Trunks, recounting everything that had happened the previous night. Vegeta smirked with contempt and said loudly, "Do not concern yourself. Just remember your father. Prince Vegeta is the greatest warrior in the universe, and Kakarot he will fall. He only dreams." He laughed several times to himself. Meanwhile, in the same training ground, Goku and Goten continued their training, this time in the blue form. Goten seemed more spirited and more resilient, trying with all his strength to match his father's power. Goku decided to raise the intensity, pressing him without mercy. Every strike and every movement revealed new secrets to Goten about his own limits, teaching him how to balance energy, speed, and endurance. As time passed, the difficulty grew heavier. Goten's breath quickened, and his body burned with energy, as if about to explode. He nearly gave in until Goku's words pulled him back. "Do not quit. Goten, this pain is your path. Every moment of weakness brings you closer to true strength." Goten staggered on the verge of collapse, but Goku caught him by the shoulders, smiling faintly. "Remember, this road is long, but it will take you further than you can imagine. Keep going." And so the days passed. Each one sharpened Goten's skills, revealed more of the mysteries of instinct, and pushed his body to new limits. At the same time, Vegeta was training with Trunks inside Bulma's gravity chamber. Trunks had already achieved blue long ago, and the chamber's crushing pull drove both of them to their edge. Vegeta sneered proudly. "Kakarot, that fool, relies on useless techniques. Nothing surpasses raw training, under gravity, speed, pressure, and pain. This is the true path to power." Trunks watched in awe and admiration, enduring his father's merciless regimen. Slowly, he too began to grasp the meaning of real training, far from Goku's illusions. One day, Goku stood in front of Goten and said calmly, Watch me closely." In an instant, he ascended into Ultra Instinct. A divine aura blazed around him, his body glowing with a light deeper and fiercer than any form before. He looked at his son and said, "My advice is to let your body relax. Do not force your mind. Release yourself completely." Goten closed his eyes and tried, but his thoughts would not stop flooding in. He lost focus. Suddenly, Goku struck him across the face. "You are still thinking," I said. "Relax." The sting burned, but Goten rose immediately, inhaled deeply, and tried again. Goku guided him, explaining and encouraging, yet each failure turned his father's tone from patient to fierce. "To what end are you fighting? Do you want to be my successor, the protector of Earth? Then endure the pain? Become stronger?" He forced Goten to confront every weakness, every fear, and every doubt, driving his body and spirit beyond exhaustion. Goten screamed from the agony, and yet in the end he still only reached blue again. He was drained but sharper, stronger, and with a deeper awareness of the path toward instinct. Then with a sudden flash of fury, Goku's eyes glowed. He kicked Goten hard, sending him sprawling. "You have shamed me. I trusted you, but you are just a child wasting my time." His words cut deeper than any blow. Turning his back, Goku walked away, leaving his son in despair. But before Goten could even breathe, a surge of overwhelming energy erupted from nowhere, crashing into Goku. The ground shook. Goku fell writhing in pain, as if struck by something unseen. Goten froze, terrified. Rage overwhelmed him. He did not know where the attack came from, but he knew one thing: he had to act. He focused everything, aiming straight for the incomplete Ultra Instinct. He reached for a power no one had dared touch before. The world blurred, his heart pounded, and his aura erupted. On the ground, Goku looked at him weakly and was astonished. "Goten, my son, you finally did it." But Goten did not answer. In his heart, he screamed, "Whoever hurt my father, I will never forgive them." He pushed himself to his feet with blood streaking his face and his body trembling from the beating. His vision swam, but the rage fueled him. Then Goku whispered faintly with his breath fading, "My son, I do not know what is happening, but take care of Chi-Chi and our friends. I do not think I will last. I am proud of you." And with that, Goku lost consciousness. In that instant, Goten's aura exploded, with his body ablaze with divine light. For the first time, he touched the true, completed Ultra Instinct. The energy rippled outward across the earth. Every being felt it. Vegeta froze mid-punch, with his eyes wide. This power, it is like Kakarot's but different. Trunks, Gohan, Piccolo, and everyone trembled as a wave of force swept through them. Even on Beerus's world, the god of destruction stirred and frowned. What is this? A presence that rivals? No, it surpasses. For the first time, Beerus felt unease. On Earth, as Goten's power climbed higher than ever before, he stood with newfound clarity. He had reached what he once thought impossible. But then before he could savor the moment, Whis appeared suddenly, as if he had stepped out of the very air itself. Goten stared at him, realizing only now how quickly Whis had arrived. Whis met his eyes with a calm smile and spoke softly, with his voice carrying hidden meaning. "My plan has worked out. Everything is now as I wanted it to be." Then suddenly he explodes with a piercing scream, unleashing his rage fused with perfected Ultra Instinct. Existence itself trembles around him. His energy surges in terrifying waves, shaking both earth and sky. Even Whis finds no chance to explain that he is behind what is happening. Goten continues screaming, his aura expanding with each moment, radiating waves so overwhelming that everyone can feel them. On Earth, his friends freeze in place with their eyes wide in shock. Each of them reacts in disbelief, but none more than Vegeta, whose heart is consumed by a tangled mix of fear and curiosity. He mutters to himself, "Impossible. Could that child have truly reached Ultra Instinct?" On Beerus's planet, the god of destruction shifts uncomfortably in his seat. "What is this strange sensation? Has Whis betrayed me? Did he go to finish training that child?" And in Zeno's palace, Goten's energy reaches. Even there, the Grand Priest senses it and raises his head seriously for a moment. But when Zeno innocently asks, "What is that?" he answers with a dismissive smile. "Nothing, just a passing tremor." Back on Earth, the friends finally arrive at Goten's location. Light engulfs him entirely, his perfected aura blazing like a newborn sun that cannot be extinguished. They all stand stunned. Vegeta in particular is frozen with his face pale as he mutters to himself. Impossible. Goten reached Ultra Instinct before me. How could this happen? The others are no less shaken. Gohan gasps. No way, this is not normal energy. It is just like what Dad did. Piccolo furrows his brows. He has changed. I cannot read his energy anymore. This is something entirely different. Krillin begins sweating as he looks from Goten to Goku's battered body. Goten, what is happening? Can you hear me? But Goten does not answer, nor even acknowledge them. His eyes are locked solely on Whis, staring with strange confidence as though sharing a secret hidden from everyone else. Unable to bear his silence, Gohan steps forward and shouts, Whis, what happened here? What happened to my father? Whis slowly turns, smiling calmly as always, and replies, Stay calm. There is no time to explain. Now something big is about to happen. Vegeta continues staring between Goten and Goku with bitterness, gnawing at him like never before. A lump forms in his throat. That kid, he has achieved what I have chased for years right before my eyes. And Kakarot lies broken on the ground. What happened here? Suddenly Goten raises his finger toward Whis. A deadly silence spreads across the battlefield. Even Whis widens his eyes slightly, something he almost never does. The friends freeze, unable to grasp what the boy intends. But Goten stands firm, with his finger pointed and his eyes unblinking, radiating boundless confidence. In less than the blink of an eye, Goten vanishes, only to appear before Whis mere centimeters away. Everyone is stunned. Even Vegeta, who had grown used to unimaginable speed, cannot comprehend what just happened. Whis himself thinks as he stares at the boy before him, impossible. This speed, it far surpasses Goku even in Ultra Instinct. Before he can recover, Goten charges his fist and drives it directly at Whis' face. The force is shocking so much that Whis himself does not evade in time. His head jerks back for a moment under the impact. The friends cry out together, impossible. He hit Whis. Whis wipes the spot of the strike with his hand, then speaks with an uncharacteristically cautious, calm, So you are trying to use me as a test for your new power, very well then? He lifts his hand slowly and adds, I will use just 10%. In an instant, Whis unleashes a blinding surge of energy, an attack too fast for the eye to follow. But Goten blocks it effortlessly with a single finger. Calmly and without effort, the words fall from everyone's lips in disbelief. Even Vegeta cannot shout. His eyes tremble as he whispers to himself, This child, has he surpassed even the level of angels? Whis narrows his eyes slightly for the first time, showing true seriousness. It seems what comes next will be far more dangerous than I expected. Very well, let us raise it to 20%. In a single instant, Whis vanished completely, and a dazzling aura burst forth, filling the battlefield. Everyone was stunned by the sheer speed, but the true shock was that Goten had vanished as well. Nothing remained in the arena but the terrifying echoes of violent collisions reverberating in every direction. Their strikes clashed at unimaginable speed, shattering the ground beneath them and tearing the sky apart with blinding flashes. The others could see nothing but flickers of light. Piccolo says, I cannot see anything. They are disappearing and reappearing in fractions of a second. Vegeta is shaken, thinking to himself, impossible. This speed surpasses even Kakarot and the angels. Suddenly, Goten appeared right behind Whis and slammed him with a brutal punch. Whis crashed into the ground, with colossal force shaking the entire planet. Dust shot into the air, and silence fell over the battlefield. Gohan is shocked as he tries to make sense of it all. Goten's power, this is not just training or luck. Maybe what happened to our father triggered this emotional surge inside him. Meanwhile, Krillin rushed toward Goku, quickly gave him a senzu bean, and slowly, Goku's breathing began to return. Though still exhausted, he managed a faint smile as he looked at his son through the smoke. With a weak, raspy voice, he said to Krillin, Look at him. He is stronger than me now. I am proud of him. While this unfolded, Goten walked slowly and confidently toward Whis. Each step he took sent crushing pressure rippling outward, as though the world itself grew heavier. Whis rose carefully from the ground, staring at Goten with an expression of rare astonishment. This boy's power is not just instinct, it is something beyond instinct itself. In Zeno's palace, Zeno sat on his throne, watching the battle with childlike delight, clapping his small hands in joy. The Grand Priest, however, was the complete opposite. His face was grim, and his thoughts troubled. What Whis is doing exceeds his boundaries. This is reckless. He was never ordered to push this child's power to such extremes. Moreover, angels are forbidden from fighting, and the punishment for Whis will be severe. Back on Earth, Whis stood before Goten, tightening his grip on his angelic staff. Speaking with rare seriousness, he declared, "I will not exceed 30%. Any more might destroy your body. Let us see if you are truly worthy of this power." He suddenly raised his staff, unleashing waves of energy that nearly split the horizon apart. With blinding speed, he lunged and struck at Goten. In less than a heartbeat, Goten disappeared and reappeared behind Whis. No one could understand what had just happened. And suddenly the staff was no longer in Whis' hand. It was Goten who held it calmly and effortlessly. Everyone froze in shock. Krillin says, while trembling impossible, just touching it should crush any living being. Gohan and Piccolo exchanged stunned glances. For the first time in thousands of years, Whis' eyes widened in disbelief. This cannot be the staff. Weighs millions of tons. No one should be able to lift it. But Goten said nothing. He held the staff as though it were nothing more than a feather in his hand. Goku, who had regained full consciousness thanks to the Senzu Bean, gazed at his son with tears in his eyes. That is the secret of his strength. He whispered, "It is not just raw power, it is his heart." His emotions unleashed it. "I fear this path might consume him. I cannot promise the ending will be in his favor." Vegeta turned sharply toward Goku with his eyes burning. "So that is it, the damage Goku suffered awakened something in the boy. I cannot stand watching this." Trunks, who had once mocked, Goten clenched his fists as his thoughts raced. "You really did it, Goten. I mocked you and trusted my father. But your father was wiser than mine after all." Whis, with his gaze fixed on the boy holding the staff, spoke in a heavy warning tone. "That staff is no toy, Goten. If you fail to control it, its power will turn against you. My advice is to drop it now." But Goten remained utterly silent. Only his eyes, burning with cold confidence, locked onto Whis. Then he attacked. With terrifying precision and overwhelming force, Goten struck with the staff. Whis defended, but for the first time, blood spilled and fatigue showed on his body. Krillin screams, "Impossible." Whis is bleeding. Am I dreaming? Gohan was speechless, while Piccolo narrowed his eyes. The staff is amplifying Goten's power to insane levels. This is what threatens the balance. But Goten was not listening. Each blow with the staff shook the earth, his raw emotions fueling his strength further. Blood was dripping from his mouth as Whis thought to himself, "I never wanted to harm him. That is why I refuse to go beyond 30%, even if that choice makes me the prey of his strength." Then came the decisive moment. Goten slammed Whis to the ground with the staff pointed straight at his chest as though ready to end the fight. Everyone froze in place. And suddenly Beerus appeared, brought swiftly by the Supreme Kai. Beerus's voice roared like thunder. "What madness is this? Is Whis defeated?" He looked upon the injured Whis, then turned his gaze to Goten, whose face was set in stone. Goten's eyes were glowing with the brilliance of perfected ultra instinct. Beerus froze for a moment at the horror of what he saw. Then his voice trembled as he muttered, "This cannot be. This child has reached a level that even threatens my position." Everyone turned to Beerus, waiting for his reaction. Goten remained silent. Slowly he turned toward Beerus, with his eyes glowing with the light of perfected instinct. Beerus roared like thunder. "I knew it, Whis. You would betray me. You helped him reach this level behind my back. I will not forgive you, and I will show no mercy to any of you. Even you, Goku, you are to blame for bringing your wicked son into my realm." Goku, struggling to rise, whispered Beerus, "Stop." But suddenly Whis shouted for the first time in a firm tone, "Stay away from him, Beerus. I warn you, do not come any closer." Everyone froze. Even Beerus widened his eyes in astonishment. "What did you say? You warned me. Have you lost your mind, Whis?" Whis, solemn, for the first time admitted in a trembling voice, "Goten's power has reached approximately 35% of my maximum strength. He is now even superior to Goku in his final forms." Everyone was stunned. Krillin says, "Impossible. 35% of Whis' power, that means he is a monster beyond reason." Gohan and Trunks say, "My brother surpassed Dad." Beerus furrowed his brow with rage building within him. "You dare say this child threatens me? I am the god of destruction." Whis said in a deep voice, "You do not understand. His blood boils within him. His emotions now control the instinct. If you approach, he may see you as an enemy and harbor ill intent, which could mean your end. Beerus. A deadly silence fell. Beerus trembled slightly with an emotion he had not known for millions of years, humiliation and the threat of being looked down upon. He clenched his fists and shouted violently, "Impossible. I will not allow my pride to be defeated by a child." Goten's slow steps toward Beerus were like knives, piercing his pride. Beerus hesitated. He knew retreat would brand him a coward, and advancing might lead to public humiliation. Cold sweat ran down his brow. He had not felt this since time immemorial. Finally, Beerus shouted at the top of his lungs and charged a devastating destructive energy that filled the sky. "Enough of your games, child," he said. He dashed with faster-than-light speed and struck Goten squarely on the brow. But Goten did not move the blow. Glanced off as if it had touched emptiness. Silence fell. All the friends were struck dumb with shock. Even Whis could not believe his eyes. In Zeno's palace, the Grand Priest watched the scene with wide eyes. "Corruption has occurred. If I intervene now, Zeno will hold me accountable. If I let this escalate, Universe 7 might collapse entirely." Beerus, with his face swollen with fury and shame, screamed madly as he unleashed a torrent of violent punches. He moved with such speed that the air itself ruptured, but Goten calmly and gracefully evaded them all, as if he were playing. Goku says this is madness. He is dodging the god of destruction's blows like they are nothing. Vegeta's eyes flared with anger and jealousy. Whis stood ready to intervene, but Beerus's thundering command sliced through the air. "No one interfere. If anyone intervenes, now I will not hesitate to destroy this entire universe. I want no pity, Whis." His words were harsh and heavy, filled with long-buried contempt. What Beerus did not know was that he stood on the brink of a genuine danger that would overturn the balance. Suddenly, as if the earth itself sighed, Goten surged and struck Beerus, sending him flying until he crashed into a wall and was buried in dust. Goten stood over him, his eyes blazing with aura. He slowly raised his hand charged with a concentrated dark energy and pointed it at Beerus's face. Then after a long silence, he finally spoke. "You were the first obstacle in my path to achieve my dream. Now I will be the first to cut your life's path short forever." Goten's voice cut through the silence like a sharp blade. "You stopped me from reaching my goal before, but now I will be the one to stop you from living." The words were not just a threat, they were a death sentence, spoken with chilling calm. Everyone froze. Vegeta frowned, unable to comprehend how such a young boy could reach this level. Gohan shouted, desperate to awaken his brother from his madness. Krillin and Piccolo watched in horror, while Goku cried out with all his strength, with his voice filled with pleading, "Goten, stop. Leave him. Do not let anger consume you." But Goten did not turn, his features drowning in a rage none of them had ever witnessed before. In the palace, the Grand Priest watched with a grim face, his fists clenched in tension. He whispered to himself, "If I let this continue, Beerus will not survive, and perhaps the universe itself will collapse. But if I interfere, Zeno will oppose me." The priest was powerless to act, for Zeno sat beside his throne clapping with childlike joy. Zeno was enjoying the spectacle as though it were a show without end. Back on the battlefield, Goten unleashed his inner fury, the energy sphere glowing in his hand. Suddenly he screamed and released his power. The air exploded, and a shock wave shook the ground, hurling everyone backward, forcing some to raise their arms to shield their faces. Whis, always so calm and composed, was wide-eyed in shock as he muttered to himself, "That is a killing force. There is no way Beerus can survive this." The companions were overwhelmed by shock, each convinced it was the end of Beerus. As the smoke began to clear, the scene slowly revealed itself. Beerus lay sprawled on the ground, his body drenched in blood and scratches. His features were trembling from the impact, but he was not dead. He forced himself up with difficulty, sneering through ragged breaths. "You could not kill me, you weak child," he said. The words came out cold, but it was a desperate attempt to mask the terror within him. Suddenly a cold smile appeared on Goten's face, a smile none of them had ever seen from him before. He raised his head slightly and spoke with a voice as sharp as steel. "I did not want to kill you yet. I wanted to have some fun first. I will make you taste torment before I finish you." The words fell like thunderbolts. Beerus froze for a moment, shock clear in his eyes, while the others were choked with disbelief. Krillin clenched his fists, thinking, "This is not the Goten. We know he has completely changed." With a sorrowful face, Goku raised his voice. "Goten, stop. This is not. You do not let your anger turn you into something you cannot control. The ending will not be in your favor." But the reply was not what anyone expected. Goten turned his head slightly toward his father, staring at him coldly before replying with a rudeness Goku had never heard. "You do not understand anything, father. You spent your whole life fighting, yet you achieved nothing but failure against your strongest foes. You always forgave your enemies. From the beginning, Beerus was an enemy. He wanted to destroy our planet. If not for the chance he found in food, he mocked us and threatened us, and yet you let him stay, not once considering to end him. I will not be like you. I will not be a disappointment. Now in my hands lies a key to change, and I will change everything, the entire order of it all." Goku trembled, his eyes widening as though a sword had been driven through his chest. He could not believe these words had come from his own son. The friends exchanged uneasy glances. Gohan shouted, "Goten, snap out of it. This is not you." But the boy kept walking towards Beerus each step, making the air heavier around them. At that moment, Whis broke the silence with his calm voice. He sounded like a psychologist explaining the condition of a dangerously unstable patient. This Goten is no longer that innocent child. Years of bottled-up pressure have erupted within him. His constant sense of being in his father and brother's shadow, his frustration at never being acknowledged as a true warrior, and the fear of failure he buried deep inside, all of it has now exploded after seeing his father wounded. What we see now is nothing but the embodiment of his turmoil and boiling emotions. As Whis explained, the scene grew more brutal. Goten struck Beerus with rapid, crushing blows, not meant to kill, but to humiliate. Beerus staggered, breathing heavily with blood, spraying with each punch, while Goten continued with that cold smile, savoring the control he had over the god's fate. Everyone watched, powerless to intervene, but the moment was not confined to Earth. Its echoes reached across the universes. The other gods of destruction gathered with their attendants, watching through cosmic orbs. "Beerus is finished," laughed one mockingly, saying, "So this is your end, Beerus. You always pretended to be superior, to be untouchable, and now you are nothing but a mouse in the hands of a child." Some of the others shook their heads in disdain. But Champa was the strangest. Leaning back, his heavy voice carried an odd note. "Beerus, you fool. I always hated you, but it is strange to see you like this. I do not know. Maybe I wanted to be the one to take you down, not someone else." Vados' voice, however, was filled with concern. "This is not normal. What worries me is not Beerus. It is Whis. He has committed a grave crime by training Goten to this level. If it is proven he allowed this child to reach such power, the punishment awaiting him will be far worse." On Earth, the situation reached its climax. Goten grabbed Beerus's head with both hands, his fingers digging into the god's skull. Sweat and blood streamed down Beerus's face as he screamed in agony. His head looked like it might burst under the crushing force. For the first time, Beerus's scream carried true fear, but Goten did not stop. He pressed harder, the air around them, spiraling into a violent storm of destruction. As he was about to crush Beerus's head, Goku's voice thundered through the battlefield. "Goten, stop. If you continue down this path, then do not ever consider yourself my son again. You have brought shame on me, on our family, and on the entire Earth." The words pierced Goten's heart like knives. Everyone was stunned by their harshness. Suddenly, Goten's body began to shake violently. He screamed in unbearable agony, as if a massive energy was surging back inside him, burning him from within. His veins bulged and his body convulsed. Under the overwhelming force, everyone gasped in shock. Krillin shouted, "What is happening to him?" Gohan leaped forward in fear, shouting, "Goten!" Goten collapsed completely onto the ground, his body trembling in agony. Whis was the only one who seemed to understand. He placed a hand on his chin and explained with concern. Ultra Instinct is not just a transformation, it is a state of mind and body. The psychological and emotional pressure Goten endured made him use this power recklessly. Now his body is paying the price. It seems his very cells cannot withstand the burden. Everyone was stunned by the explanation, their faces clouded with worry. As for Beerus, drenched in blood and sweat, sprawled on the ground, he looked at Goten with a mix of shock and hatred. Inside, he thought, impossible. This child nearly killed me. If not for this breakdown, my end would have been here. But this is my golden chance. I will not let him rise again." Beerus began to crawl, struggling, despite the pain, his eyes glinting with malice. At that moment, the weeping Goten looked from afar at his father's shocked face. Goku's harsh words still echoed in his head like a stab. "You are no longer my son." Tears mixed with Goten's sweat as he stretched his trembling hand toward his father. He whispered in a broken voice, "Dad, do not leave me." The moment split with Beerus preparing to pounce and finish Goten. Goku wrestled with his guilt and the cruelty of his own words. Then Goku shouted with all his might, "Stop Beerus." But Beerus, seizing Goten's weakness, gathered the last of his energy. He fired a death beam straight into the boy's chest. The entire battlefield shook as the beam pierced Goten's body, followed by his agonizing scream. Goten collapsed with blood pouring from his chest, his body still flickering with unstable Ultra Instinct light. It was too late. Everyone froze in place. Whis put a hand to his forehead in shock, unable to believe Beerus had gone this far. Vegeta, despite his pride, widened his eyes in disbelief and muttered, "This is madness." Gohan rushed forward with tears in his eyes, shouting, "Goten! Goten!" They all gathered around the boy lying on the ground, his breath ragged and the glow around him fading away. Goku knelt beside his son with tears streaming down his face as he shook him gently. "Goten, my son, do not give up. Please forgive me. I did not mean those words. Forgive me, my boy." Goten, his voice, weak and broken, smiled, despite his pain. "Dad, do not apologize. It is my fault. All of this is because of me. I only wanted to be like you to prove I was not weak. Forgive me instead." Everyone began to cry, even Vegeta, who bit his lip and turned his face away to hide his emotions. Goku was sobbing harder, saying, "No, my son, you never failed me. I was always proud of you, and you will always be my hero, no matter what." Goten raised his trembling hand, touching his father's cheek and gently wiping away his tears. Then he whispered his final words, smiling softly, "Dad, you will always be my hero. I achieved my dream. I reached Ultra Instinct, that was my goal. And now I want to give it to you." Goku was shaking his head with tears streaming, saying, "No, do not do it. You will lose your life." But Goten whispered his final words, smiling softly, "This is my gift to you, Father. My power, my life, everything I have is for you." His body began to glow once again, the energy of Ultra Instinct gathering and flowing slowly into Goku. Goku tried to push it away, crying, "Stop, I do not want this. I want you, not your power." But Goten closed, his eyes in peace, his light slowly fading as the Ultra Instinct energy merged into Goku's body. A deadly silence consumed the battlefield. Everyone was in shock, while Goku sat holding his son in his arms. Then the ground shook with the echo of Goku's scream, a scream no one had ever heard before. It was a mixture of pain, sorrow, and pure rage. The earth beneath his feet began to crack, and the sky opened with strange colors. The universe itself was responding to his grief. Goku, cradling his dead son in his arms, walked forward slowly, each step striking the hearts of all who watched. Tears still poured from his eyes, but at the same time Goten's energy flowed within him. It felt warm and pure, like his son's soul, living on eternally inside his father. And then the change began. The air around him ignited with brilliant light. His hair rose, suddenly turning into a shining white purer than any form before. His eyes became glowing golden, with their gaze piercing straight through the soul. Everyone stepped back in awe. Vegeta whispered under his breath, "Impossible. This is not Ultra Instinct. It is something beyond." Whis covered his mouth, stunned. Goten's power had merged with Goku, creating a level never seen before. From his corner, Beerus, writhing in pain, widened his eyes. "What is this? Is this my end?" At first Goku said nothing. He stood surrounded by radiant light, looking almost like an angel of pure energy. Then in a deep voice filled with sorrow and tenderness, he whispered to himself, "Goten, thank you, my son. Your power will remain with me. I will make it eternal, and I will avenge you." He lifted his head and fixed his gaze directly at Beerus. His steps were steady and calm, but each one made Beerus feel as though he was staring death in the face. Vegeta could not hold himself back, asking Kakarot, "What have you become?" But Goku did not answer. His eyes were fixed only on Beerus.